fact that Li Wei is coming back has been rumored in our various groups for several days. Everyone speculated, but no one had accurate information. Many people secretly asked me this, and I explained over and over again, I don't know. But they didn't believe it and vowed to put evidence. 3 years ago, Li Wei went abroad and you broke up. You must be in touch. You haven't been in love for the past 3 years. You're just waiting for Li Wei. You don't know. We can't even know. I really don't know. I know that he is coming back because of his best friend. She asked me. It's all crazy, don't you know? Finally, I changed my screen name to, don't ask me about LW, and it was quiet for a while. I was making a strawberry milkshake when a friend I hadn't contacted in a long time called. She said excitedly, Li Wei added me. He really wants to come back. I will land at the airport at 8 o'clock tomorrow night, and his circle of friends has just been released. Sure enough, it was because of Li Wei. When we were together, Li Wei was always the one who attracted the attention of others. After going around in circles, she didn't ask the question she really wanted to ask until the end. Did he add you? I cut off the tails of the strawberries and put them in the juicer. Only then did he answer her. Why did he add me? After this sentence, the mobile phone kept ringing. I took off my gloves and picked up my phone to find that I was suddenly pulled into a group chat. The group was lively and her voice also sounded in her ears. Li Wei came back for you this time, and he will definitely add you. As soon as she finished saying this, her friend applied for an extra red dot. It's Li Wei. He added me through the group chat just now. In the group chat, there was a fuss about asking Li Wei to treat guests to dinner, but I put down my phone and ignored it. Remind a friend. We broke up 3 years ago. She didn't care and said in a hurry, renewing the relationship. He finally had a hard time. I interrupted her and emphasized again, it's really impossible for us. She heard the certainty in my tone and persuaded me to think again. But what to think? There is really no need to think about it. After hanging up the phone, the topic in the group suddenly changed the direction of the wind, and people kept hitting me. Reuniting with a broken mirror, going around in circles are you. It's romantic to think about. It's so romantic. Ying Ying, pick up Li Wei tomorrow night. I rolled up with one free hand and finally found the reason. Li Wei's avatar is still the same as it was 3 years ago. Heh, I was head to head with him and a big smile. A sharp-eyed friend asked him, what's going on with the group photo? Is it still impossible to let go of our Ying Ying? Li Wei admitted directly, yes, I can't let go. His words pushed the atmosphere in the group to the peak, and more people asked me, Ying Ying, do you have time tomorrow night? Let's go together. Li Wei treated guests to dinner and slaughtered him. Too many people love me, so I replied seriously. There is something wrong. I can't go. Li Wei replied quickly. What's the matter? What's the matter? Recently, I am learning to make a mousse cake. It is too difficult. I have made it several times and it is not perfect. I really can't go. I answered truthfully, which caused laughter from everyone. They smiled and told me not to joke and said that we would have a meal together on time tomorrow. But I never joke. Only Li Wei knew my personality, and he replied, I went to find you that night. After this sentence, they made a lot of noise. Ying Ying, you haven't been in love for the past 3 years. It just so happened that Li Wei came back, you broke the mirror and reunited. Thinking about it is romantic. Don't be shy. Let's pick up Li Wei together tomorrow. It's great. You talented and beautiful women will be together in the end. They have already begun to imagine what it would be like for me and Li Wei to be together. If I am a bystander who witnesses the reunion of others, I must also say congratulations. But I'm not. I'm the protagonist who really experienced this. Only I know what I went through. Only I know how sad and embarrassed I was at the time. Our breakup seems very neat to outsiders. It is nothing more than Li Wei going abroad and we separated. But the real reason is only known to us, not because of going abroad. The real reason is that he is tired of it. On the day I got his offer 3 years ago, he said calmly to me, Ying Ying. I'm a little tired. Let's be apart for a while by going abroad. Tired of it. I don't accept this reason. We've been together for 5 years, and even though we were researching a dessert head-to-head the day before. Why do you suddenly get tired of it? So I cried and kept him. Am I not doing well? If you say it, I will change it. We were entangled for half a year, until one festival, Li Wei returned to China to pack his things, and I watched his tears drip one by one. Maybe it was the sound of tears hitting the floor, and he felt annoyed. He looked at me halfway through packaging. I've already told you the reason, can you stop pestering me? At that time, I didn't want to believe it. So I lowered my posture and lowered it. I'll change it if you say it. He looked straight at me and said calmly. No wonder your dad doesn't want you. My parents divorced, and no one wanted me, which has always been my heart disease. When he first heard about it, he would hug me and say, they don't have eyes, I want you. At that day, he turned that incident into a weapon to hurt me and stab me straight into the chest. It was also that sentence that suddenly made me realize that he really wanted to be separated from me. What's more, 3 years ago, he felt tired of it. There is no reason why he suddenly felt fresh 3 years later. So at this time I replied seriously, don't joke. We won't be together. After saying this, I left the group chat in the next second. The next night I was making that mousse cake when my girlfriend rushed to my cake shop. She pointed at my head and counted me. You really didn't go, you don't know. How many people are staring at Li Wei's fragrant dumplings? He is just for you to return to China. You have been together for 5 years. At least there must be a result. You haven't been in love all these years. Aren't you just waiting for Li Wei? I seriously retorted her last words. No. I don't fall in love just because I haven't met the right person. When this sentence fell, the doorbell rang. It's Li Wei. He stood half a meter away, wanted to step forward but didn't dare, and finally looked at me and said, Ying Ying, I'm back. My girlfriend left the space for us and left in a hurry. But I really don't know what to say. After all, I've already said anything I want to keep when he wants to break up. Even for a long time after he left, I was looking forward to it, for fear of missing a message in the middle of the night, and my heart would subconsciously tighten whenever a message sounded. I fantasized about his news, fantasized that he will say, Ying Ying, I was wrong, I just don't want to delay you, I miss you so much. But that was just the plot of the novel. And it never happened. The hope in his eyes was so obvious that I just looked at him and nodded welcome. Li Wei took a step forward, and he considered his tone. You opened a cake shop. Yes. I remember before. You didn't know anything about these things, you were a kitchen killer. Why did you suddenly want to make a cake? I didn't stop my hands. Heating the milk through water. He didn't answer Li Wei's words for a while, and he didn't ask again. I thought he had left early, but when I finished everything and turned my head, Li Wei stared straight at me. He said, let's have a meal together. No. Then I'll accompany you. No. It was so embarrassing that I knocked on the side. Do you want to buy something? Maybe the impatience on my face was too obvious. He followed in a panic and said, then I'll see what I want to buy. He was walking around the cake shop and finally he didn't have time to surround me. I frowned at the stumbling cake. Obviously follow the tutorial. Why is it so ugly? You're lazy. I looked up and crashed into the man's gaze. His eyes were firm and he explained the reason. Gelatine is not soaked. I handed him an apron and let him in. He picked up the remaining materials, heated them in water, and showed me the state of being completely soaked, at which point I had to believe that it was my reason. Ying Ying, I'll get a piece of mango cake. Li Wei spoke up. Since I started talking to the man, his eyes fell on this side. He put the cake on the table, tried his best to be calm, and even looked at me and said, Ying Ying, I'll wait for you to get off work. His words are a bit of a declaration of sovereignty, but there is really no need for this. This is real life, not a novel. And I am not the heroine and I can't make others loved. But as soon as I had this idea, The man looked at me with his head propped up and asked bluntly, "Tea friend?" I shook my head. "No." He laughed. "Then let's add a contact information?" I fell in love at first sight. His words were joking and more frivolous. Maybe it was because he sensed the atmosphere between me and Li Wei and said this casually, just to see how the two of us would respond. Li Wei suddenly became nervous. He was smiling on his face, but his eyes behind the lenses were staring at the man. The smile on the man's face is even bigger, but I didn't want to do anything to accept another man slapping Li Wei in the face. Every relationship I have must be based on the premise of liking each other. In order to slap Li Wei in the face, accepting other people's confessions at will is an insult to a relationship and an insult to myself. I pushed the mango cake towards Li Wei and replied to the man, "No, I don't believe in love at first sight." When my words fell, Li Wei breathed a sigh of relief and turned his gaze back to me. The man handed me his business card and said with a smile, "Get to know me." He didn't care about my refusal, handed over his business card, unfastened his apron, and went straight out. Li Wei watched me throw my business card into the trash can before speaking. "Ying Ying, let me take you home." "No." One of his hands couldn't stop picking the thumb of the other, something he would subconsciously do when he was nervous. He looked at me and softened his tone. "Ying Ying, at least give me a chance." "Give me a chance." 3 years ago, I said the same. "How did he answer?" He said, "I'm really tired of it, and giving you a chance will have the same result." He is tired of me, but he is not tired of others. At that time he couldn't wait to get rid of me, eager to find the freshness in his mouth with others. He thought he was hiding it well, but I knew. He would call in a low voice before going out in the morning. "Do you need to bring breakfast for you?" The frequency of holding a mobile phone every day has increased significantly. I thought Li Wei was measured, so I didn't say anything about it. By the time I reacted, it was too late. The girl called him in the middle of the night and asked, "What do you mean?" "I didn't know you had a girlfriend. If I had known a word, I wouldn't have told you. Let's not contact you in the future." Li Wei was groggy during that time. Every word I said, he was obviously distracted, and replied to me with empty eyes. When I looked at him seriously, he would apologize to me again. "Ying Ying, you are too tired." It was also a long time later that I realized that this kind of behavior was also cold violence. He should have wanted me to be angry and break up, but I didn't. In the end, he had no choice but to give a lame reason. "I'm tired of it." But I loved him too much at the time, and they really didn't contact each other during that time. I begged over and over again, "Can you give me another chance? Do you really want me anymore?" Now that I think about it, I seem to have been reduced to wisdom during that time. How could I be humble to that extent? Until that day, he casually said, "No wonder your dad doesn't want you." That sentence hit my face like a slap, and I suddenly woke up. Now, when I see him and think of that sentence, my heart aches. If I forgive him, then I'm sorry for myself. I never picked this matter, and he always thought I didn't know about it. At this point, I said as I packed up, "It's not necessary. It can't be because others haven't given you a chance. You come to me to find a chance." He froze and asked me, "What did you say?" I looked up and explained, "The girl who applied for the offer with you." After these words, his face turned pale. He explained, "We are." That's right. He couldn't explain it clearly, and I sneered. "I'm closing. Are you leaving?" 3 years ago, he deleted all of us, and I memorized his account and looked at it again and again. But when he added me back, he still needed to pull a group chat. After bumping into others and turning around, I found that I still had better want to come back. It's shameless. I thought that when my words reached that point, he would not come to me again. But the next day he came again and swore to me, "Ying Yang, you believe me. I really want to marry you. Can I chase you again? We really can't just be apart." Before I could answer, he was already sitting aside with something and looking at me quietly. I went back to making that mistake. Maybe I really didn't have any talent. And I failed again. Even miserable, the mousse did not solidify together after refrigeration, and was piled up in the mold. It's also a talent to be able to make mousse cakes like this. It was still yesterday's man, and when he saw that my expression was wrong, he continued to say, "Maybe I didn't buy the right cream. I know it's my own reasons. You don't need to comfort me." He held the table with his hands and looked at me with bright eyes. "Do you still want to do it?" Without waiting for my answer, he stretched out his index finger and tapped on the table. "I say the steps. You do it." "Wrong. You have to heat it through water." "Wrong again. This step has to be added sugar. How can I not remember it?" "What's even worse, you have to refrigerate it first to cool it down." Stumbled to the end, and I succeeded, and the man looked at me with his chin propped up. He said again, "I think we are quite in sync. Why don't we make do? In my case, if you talk about it." "You don't talk about it, and you don't try this option." Because he helped me make the cake, I was also a little serious. "If you don't like me, don't say such things." After he left, Li Wei leaned over to me again. He asked me, "Ying Ying, what kind of cake is this? Did you make it yourself?" 3 years ago, I guessed how far he and the girl had gone by looking at the cover of his circle of friends. Now that the roles have been reversed, it is up to him to watch how I interact with others step by step. The uneasiness and speculation I experienced are now replaced by his experience. But in fact, I didn't feel refreshed, using other people's feelings as a weapon to attack myself. And what is the difference between me and him? I didn't want to hang him, so I chose to confess directly. "Li Wei, we really can't do it anymore." He took off his glasses and his eyelids were red. He covered his eyes and said, "Ying Ying, you don't believe it. I have only been talking to that girl for a month. A month later, I can't help but miss you. In my dreams you are making sobering soup. I am lying on the sofa looking at your back. You turn your head and call my name. You clean up the house so comfortably. How could I want to leave? I lost 20 pounds in the first month abroad, and at that time I thought, how nice it would be if you were by my side. I still remember the night I had a fever. I slept restlessly. You watched over me all night, as long as I opened my eyes and had warm water at hand. Also, the time I cooked on a whim, I fried the pot, and you looked at me with a smile without getting angry. You cleaned up the kitchen, urged me to buy a pot, and said that this was a big event to record and laugh at me. He said a lot bit by bit, and finally he choked up and said, "Is it really impossible, Ying Ying? A little chance? Isn't it gone? I really want to have a result with you. 3 years ago, I cared too much that I didn't know what I was wrong with. Now that I have listened to what he said, I know why he is tired of talking. There really is no big event between us, and we rarely quarrel. I think it's better to knit a scarf for him if he has a quarrel. He is afraid of the cold and winter, and he dislikes selling scarves ugly, so he never wears them. I can learn and try to weave a beautiful scarf for him to wear in winter. Until he went abroad, I was worried about whether he would get used to it. During that time, I tried to portion his favorite dishes in advance to ensure that he could eat them by stir-frying. I took care of him meticulously, and he got used to it early on. I have all firewood, rice, oil and salt in my heart, and I can't find the romance and snow he wants in me, so he will say that sentence when he gets tired of it. But when he left, there were no clean clothes or fried meals around him. He began to realize the importance of firewood, rice, oil and salt, and then thought of me again. His family background is good, and he is recognized by everyone as the pride of heaven. Perhaps because his material desires are satisfied early, and his emotions are rarely exposed. This is the first time he has cried regardless of his image. I pointed out that matter and said, "Do you remember the sentence that no wonder your dad doesn't want you?" After these words, he choked up and apologized. "I'm sorry, it's me, it's wrong." He knew that this sentence hurt me, but he chose to say it in order to get rid of me. I held the glass and said, After a long time I wondered if it was really my fault. He kept apologizing and regretting. I'm sorry, it's not your fault, it's me who fainted. I don't think I did anything wrong. You imposed your mistakes on me. It's your problem. Li Wei, I've already looked forward. I was too calm. He raised his head and asked me, Ying Ying. You really don't. Yes. I don't like you. I said, I don't fall in love just because I haven't met someone I like. And it has nothing to do with you. Reality is not fiction. He didn't say anything that he had to do. He looked at me quietly with red eyes and spat out after a while. I know. After that day, he never came again. That man often came to my cake shop, and I knew his name, Juzu. The sun is very in line with him. On the day of my mother's death, there was heavy snow that I hadn't seen for several years. The bus was paralyzed, and I was thinking about how to get there. But as soon as he went out, he met him, and he rolled down the car window. Where are you? I'll take you. I said the name of the cemetery, and he drove over without saying a word. When he got out of the car, he asked me to wait. And when he returned, he was holding a handful of small daisies. He handed me the little daisy and raised his chin. Go. I'll wait for you here. The snow fell even harder, and he took off his coat to me, but I didn't take it. Put his arm on my shoulder forcefully. What is your mouth hard? The snow will bury you. Go back quickly. 3 years ago, Li Wei and I came here together, and this was the first time there was someone else. He was not like Li Wei, who kept pestering me and kept keeping an appropriate distance. When I went back, the snow was even heavier. He shook off his clothes, scribbled them on, and took me back to the city. He didn't ask a word from beginning to end, and after sending me back to the store, he drove away. I looked at his wet clothes and said, Do you want to come in and sit down? He was really good at climbing up the pole and laughed, of course. And he entered the door, he said bluntly. Finally, there is some progress. If you want me to know this, I will start picking you up and dropping you off. He poured hot water for himself and poured it for me. Then he turned his head and asked me, Do you mind using your kitchen? I don't mind. He should often go into the kitchen, beat eggs neatly and orderly, and whip whipped cream. In less than half an hour, the cake embryo is ready. He squeezed the cream and pushed the petty cake to me. Eating something sweet will make you happy. I didn't say I was unhappy. He subconsciously raised his hand and pressed it on my forehead. I frowned all morning, and I wrinkled it into the mousse cake you made. And I said I wasn't unhappy. He cleaned up the table and looked at me with his head up. Try. He asked me to evaluate, and I tasted it carefully and gave the answer. It's not very sweet, and the bread embryo is well toasted. I made him laugh with a serious comment, and he said, I learned this craft with my ex-Gerline, but then she got tired of the cake and left with someone else. It's the first time I've heard such a serious evaluation in recent years. After laughing enough, he looked up at me again. Seriously, whether we want to be together or not, we are really suitable. Maybe it was too snowy that day, or maybe the cake was to my liking. I nodded. Well, let's be together. After I finished speaking, I subconsciously wanted to shrink myself into my scarf to resist the heat of my cheeks. But when he raised his eyes, the tips of his ears were red, and he covered his eyes and didn't dare to look at me. He laughed out loud. Why did you suddenly agree? I was even more confused. Can't you agree? He let go of his hand and waved his hand again and again. No. I mean, I should chase you for a while. My friends were surprised to know that Li Wei and I had not reunited. In their eyes, I haven't been in love all these years just to wait for Li Wei. They were clamoring to meet my boyfriend, and Juzu knew about it and took full control of the party. He moved decently and without losing distance, and his friends were full of praise for him. After a few drinks, everyone was clamoring to play Truth or Dare. They have a clear goal. That is, me and Juzu. kissing. Shuzu was unambiguous, but I was a little hesitant. He pressed his thumb to my lips and leaned over to kiss his own. It's so appropriate. It's perfect. I was uneasy. How could there be two people in the world who were completely compatible? The friend poured Shuzu one by one. In the next second, the wine bottle pointed to him again. I had the heart to ease. Just tell the truth. Don't take big risks. A friend asked a very common question. What's the craziest thing you want to do? Shuzu smiled and threw out an answer that we didn't expect. Get married. I want to marry her. Adults. The craziest thing is nothing more than that little thing. But Shuzu threw out a sentence and got married. Everyone wailed that love was too pure. And some people were drunk and said with a smile, you just fell in love. You boy. The voice gradually weakened until it disappeared. And someone pulled the friend's cuff, stopped talking. After saying that, many friends looked at me carefully. We had just been together, and the person he wanted to marry was not me. Shuzu also realized that he had said the wrong thing, and he hurriedly took my hand. Ying Ying, don't get me wrong. I can explain it too. His words stumbled as if he was afraid that I would walk and held my hand tightly. I comforted him. Let's go home and say. I'm not leaving, you say slowly. He didn't listen and stubbornly thought that I would just leave. He held my hand tightly and followed me step by step. As soon as he left the bar, he explained to me, Ying Ying, I have an ex-girdling who I've been dating for a long time. Well then, I waited quietly for him, and he slowed down for a while before speaking. Cake is also for her, but she is tired of it. Not only is I tired of the cake, but I'm also tired of me. So, she cheated and left with someone else. I loved her very much at that time, and I really wanted to marry him desperately. And I think this was the craziest thing I wanted to do. Now I don't like her, I just suddenly. He explained incoherently and wanted to speak, but I held his face with both hands and asked him to look down at me. I only asked her one question, if she came back to you. Would you be with her? He drank in a daze and looked at me like a star in his eyes. He lowered his head and touched my forehead and said bluntly, no. It doesn't matter. I myself have an ex who I have been with for a long time, and of course I can accept his past. He was so drunk that I took him home. As soon as he returned to the door, Li Yue stood at the door. He said, Yin Ying, I have inquired that he has an ex-girdling who has been dating for a long time. I helped Shuzu look at him. So what? He put his hands in his pockets and looked at me bluntly. You are not suitable. He is likely to cheat. Shuzu suddenly spoke. I won't. He woke up, but the whole person was still pressing on me, and he swore to Li Wei and retorted, I won't. Li Wei's eyes were just sharp, and he still couldn't hide his sharpness even with glasses. He bent his eyes when he looked at me, Ying Ying. Do you want to bet? Shuzu rushed up and waved his fist at Li Wei. You are a man. Block the girl's door. Don't blame me for being rude to you if you don't leave. Li Wei's expression did not change, and he only said to me, Ying Ying, don't trust men too much. I knew this for a long time, and I learned it from him. He turned to leave, and I said, don't come to me in the future. Just look forward. He paused in his footsteps and finally lifted his feet and left. After Li Wei left, Shuzu looked at me and touched my head. I still want to go home with you by getting drunk, but he interrupted my plan. He wanted to leave, and I asked him, do you want to go home with me? He said, yes. I opened the door and turned sideways to let him in. Say to him, I'm a little slow in terms of feelings. What do you want to do to tell me directly? He had never been in this kind of relationship and looked at me in shock with wide eyes. After entering the house, he blushed after thinking and asked, you don't like me to kiss you? I shook my head. No. Then why did you hide just now? I just don't like being in front of too many people. When my words fell, he took a step forward and kissed me with a slight smell of alcohol, but it only fell gently on the corner of my lips. He hurriedly said, I want to brush my teeth first. In the evening he sat aside and confessed to me seriously about him and his ex-girdling. After he finished speaking, he was very relaxed. Actually, I have been tense during this time. I'm afraid of making mistakes. As a result, this is good. I made a big mistake at once. It's like the sky has fallen. I don't have to be afraid anymore. I was looking for ingredients for the sobering soup, and when I heard this, I looked at him. What kind of sky is this? But I was a little uncomfortable, so I honestly said, You can't say that in the future. He stood up, hugged me, and couldn't stop muttering in my ear. Ying 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 ying, why are you so good? I love you so much. He saw the material in my hand and asked me what I was going to do. I said, I will make you sobering soup. He buried his head in my neck and confessed in a red tone, I'm not too drunk. I just want to go home with you and you will make me sobering soup. Why are you so good? I really want to marry you. Ying Ying. Zhu and I started a relationship. He would come to wait for me after get off work. Sometimes he would look at me with his head up. His eyes would meet from afar. They were all sweet. Even the clerk saw it and asked me, Sister, is there a situation? I generously admitted, boyfriend. He has a cheerful personality but is careful, and he can detect the slightest change in my mood. He said to me, Ying Ying, of course you can lose your temper with me. Gradually, when I encounter something that makes me unhappy, I can also act coquettously and calmly say that I don't like it. We exchange gifts and spend the first Christmas holiday. He kissed me softly as the fireworks exploded, smelling like marshmallows. He said, we will have many festivals together in the future. He also had more and more things in my apartment, and he couldn't refuse to play Rex. I just want to put things here with you. He is strong and I tolerate it. Everything is developing on the good side. Li Wei's joking bet I didn't take too hard. But maybe there is a problem between us. After Christmas, I can see his restlessness. He told me very honestly, my ex-girdling is back. During this time, I was able to be with him without care, just thinking that he, like me, had calmly let go of the previous relationship, but his tone didn't seem to let go. I was all too familiar with the tone of humility, so I said, think about it and give me another answer. We are already living together, and even he is already looking at engagement-related matters. During this time, a usually joyful house suddenly became lifeless. He wanted to relieve it, but I didn't accept it. I seriously advised him, don't run away. Think about what you want. He hugged me and said, Ying Ying, don't worry about her. I just want you. We returned to our usual joy, but I could sense his absent-mindedness in every detail. Gelatin is soft. It was my reminder that he came back to his senses. He touched his head embarrassedly and said, I've been too tired from work lately. I didn't poke through him. Took what was in his hand, and during this time I was already able to make a mousse cake very skillfully. He was restless all night, and it wasn't until he changed his clothes before going to bed that he spoke. Ying Ying, a friend I haven't seen in a long time, suddenly asked me to have dinner with him, and I won't be back tonight. I nodded and said, okay. I was so neat, he froze in place. He said, Ying Ying, I always feel that there is still a distance between us, but the next thing he said was, when I come back, we'll talk. He was too honest in front of me, so I really wanted everything he said to be true. I didn't have to accept it until my best friend sent me the photo. He still went to see his ex-girdling. I don't understand. What's the point of seeing someone who broke up early? Not only did my girlfriend send me photos, Li Wei also sent me photos, and he attached a sentence, I won. I replied to him, yes, you won. I sent the photo directly to Zhu, with a sentence, break up. After posting, I stood up and started sorting out what he had put with me. Pajamas, slippers, water glasses, one after another. Before he finished titting up, Zhu came back, and he said in a panic, Ying Ying, listen to my explanation. He saw me packing up and took away what was in my hand. Look at me and say, I just went to see her. We didn't do anything. Why do you want to see her? He couldn't answer, so I asked further. Why did you go to see her and lie to me that I was a friend for dinner? He still couldn't answer. You talked about that truth or dare. You weren't that angry last time. He argued in a low voice in an attempt to get by. Good Ying Ying, don't be angry with me. I promise never to see her again. After he finished speaking, he hugged me tightly. Last time he said something wrong and felt that the sky was falling. Now he went to see his ex-Girdlane but didn't feel that the sky was falling. I broke free from his arms. Juzu, I can't accept it. During your relationship with me, I can't accept it if you went to see my ex-Girdlane without telling me. I looked at him, and he raised his hand to touch my face. It's crumpled into a small cookie. He also wanted to joke and try to fool the past, and I turned my face away from his hand. Yuzu, it's impossible. I can't convince myself, and you know you've made a mistake. He withdrew his hand tremblingly and asked me, Ying Ying, I'm just confused for a while. You can't give me a chance. I gave it, truth or dare that time. You blurted out that sentence even though you were not drunk. We're so happy to get together and break up. That night, I packed up my things, packed them up with Juzu and threw them out the door. The next day, not only Juzu came to my cake shop, but Li Wei also came. They didn't give in to each other at the door, and when they saw me, they all tacitly wanted to step forward. He stepped back again. Finally, Li Wei came to me. His eyes were expectant, and I asked him a little tired, Isn't it not in front of me? He thought that if I broke up with Juzu, he would be possible. But he was wrong. Even if I wasn't with Juzu, I wouldn't be with him. And I couldn't have said that we weren't ever just talking. He raised his hand and took off his glasses, wiped them again and again, turned around and left without saying a word. When leaving, he bumped Juzu hard. I think my words are very clear, and there is no need to keep them. But Juzu still thinks we still have a chance to be together again. Before he spoke, I pointed to Li Wei, who was leaving. In my eyes, you are all the same. Juzu smiled and said, How can we be the same? I didn't do anything. If he is willing to deceive himself, he will deceive. Juzu thought he had a chance, and even Li Wei was wandering around my cake shop. I decided to go on a trip. He came back 3 months later, and the clerk excitedly made me a cake to celebrate my return. Li Wei and Juzu also hurried over. But they looked at the boy behind me and didn't speak. The clerk's sister said one sentence after another. Sister, this is my boyfriend. He is so beautiful. Chen Yuzi accepted the praise with a smile and looked at Li Wei and Juzu, who were standing aside. He asked them with a bad face, Do you want to buy anything? Juzu spoke. Ying Ying, we have only been separated for 3 months. Chen Yuzi was young and had a poisonous mouth. Why? You are not married yet, so you want your sister to be widowed for you? I patted him on the head and asked him to say a few words. It's a bit of a word. After they left, he pestered me to send a group photo and asked me to officially announce our relationship. I couldn't resist and took a group photo before I gave up. When my girlfriends saw it, they all came to ask me. So suddenly, don't just look for people because they're looking for people. I laughed. Don't you know me yet? I won't start casually. Every relationship I have is serious and firm. So even if it's over, I won't leave any regrets. But she was still worried. He is too young. I'm afraid he won't be stable in the future. Who knows what the future holds? You all thought that Li Wei and I would be together, but in the end we separated. If he has a problem, I will definitely leave first. Don't worry about me. Han Yuzihi's parents divorced, and his grandmother raised him alone. He was braver than me, and a month after confirming the relationship, he suddenly quit his job and dragged his suitcase to the airport and said to me, Ying Ying, I'm here for you. His movements pleased me. He lacks love, and I just need someone to ask me for love airtightly. He asked me over and over again, Do you love me? I will not get bored when I hear his questions, but will only be steady and reassuring. Therefore, When my girlfriend saw the camera at home, she didn't understand. You are all together every day, what kind of camera is there? But I don't care. I can see how many times he checks every day, and he looks at me with peace of mind. In his spare time, he leaned by my side to learn to make cakes, and he did better than me. Gradually, between us, it turned out that he cooked more and more. He worked hard. We were together for 3 years, and he proposed to me at the cake shop after paying the down payment. The proposal ceremony was small, and he only called our friends. No one could have imagined that I would end up with him. After all, we have a big age difference, and I often can't keep up with the young man's thinking and quarrel with him. When he gets excited, he will go to my best friend's boyfriend to complain. I still remember that on Valentine's Day, my girlfriend's boyfriend called me for help. You don't have a holiday. I still have to have a holiday. I pushed the door to pick him up, and he stood outside the door and asked me with a straight face, "Are you wrong?" In fact, it wasn't a big deal, but I burned my arm while making a cake. By the time he found out, he was almost better, but he was so angry that he even ran away from home. I bowed my head and admitted my mistake. "I was wrong," he said with red eyes. "Don't be honest. You won't tell me next time you get hurt. I'm your boyfriend. Why don't you tell me? You are so good to me, and I want to be good to you." I realized the point where he was angry and reflected seriously. I was really wrong. In several relationships, I leaned down and indulged my other half, and I didn't expect anyone to bend over and walk with me. On our wedding day, Zhu and Li Wei both came. I don't know where he heard those old things. He asked one by one, first asking Zhu, "Come to the store another day to eat moose cake." I did a good job. Looked at Li Wei again. "And you, don't you like mango cake?" "I'll make it." The next day, Li Wei and Zhu really came, but his face was not good. With a straight face, I scolded. They are shameless. They knew I should have done it directly. I said I didn't care about them, but he was halfway through a cake and suddenly shouted outside through the window, "That's your own problem. Don't blame my wife. Li Wei extra Ying Ying is a terrible person, and when he spoils you, he can't wait to give you his whole heart. She doesn't seem to have a bottom line. She doesn't care if you do anything wrong, and she will even do everything for you with a smile. But once she hits her bottom line, she will break up without mercy. I won't give you a chance to keep it." Zhu sat in front of me and felt the same way. I looked at him and smiled. "What are we, the League of the Heartbroken?" He sneered. "Who is allied with you? You scumbag." I smiled and replied, "You are about the same." The smell of orange cake came from behind him. The kid liked this taste, and Ying Ying made it more often. Zhu suddenly spoke. "She really doesn't give me a chance. I said to Zhu, if she gives me a chance, I will be the one who calls her wife now." Zhu sneered. "You have cheated. What chance will I give you?" I also hit back. "What about you? What's the difference between going to see your ex-Gerdlin and cheating on me? Why is there no difference? I don't have you cheating directly. We are 2.5 pounds in date tiles. Whoever is half a pound in date tiles with you, I'm far less serious than you." The noise in the cake shop came out, and the kid pestered Ying Ying for a kiss. Zhu and I suddenly had no one to speak. In fact, we all know that we did something wrong, but when we were in love, Ying Ying was really good. I always want to entangle her. Maybe she will let go. I'm still a little unwilling. How old is that kid? He will make mistakes sooner or later. I tittied up the cuffs of my shirt and stood up. Ying Ying will definitely spoil him lawlessly, like spoiling us. Wait. Maybe the 3 of us will be sitting here together tomorrow. I just lifted my foot to leave when the window behind me was suddenly pushed open. The kid spoke. "You can't bear the good of others. That's your own problem. Don't blame my wife for the fault. Get out." End.